Okay, so we're making a video on costume cores and affixes. Today we're gonna work on Magneto. Once you hit level 60, if you haven't done anything with your costume core or your costume itself yet, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna go over to the crafter. In the hub, he's up in this corner.
A couple of these haven't even been patented
What you
yet.
want to do, is, especially if you have not done anything before, is you want to go to the costumes tab and you want to see which core type you can add to your costume. In Magneto's case, it's the activated X gene core that can be added to his costume. The mats or ingredients that are also used to join the costume core to the costume are the refined ionic particles. In different heroes will use different mats, and some heroes will use multiple mats, but for simplicity's sake, Magneto is just using the one mat type. So what I've already done is look through my costume cores and seen which one I want to add to Magneto. Now it's important that you get one that matches up pretty well. What you're looking for on a costume core is 3 stats. You're looking for become invulnerable for 2 seconds when you use a medkit. You're also looking for gain 400 health when you hit an enemy, and there's another stat, regenerate 25% of your health up to 3000 and 100 spirit when you use a medkit. Now if you get all 3 of those stats together, that's called a trifecta. You may not have a trifecta core, so you will have to find the best possible one, and the great thing is you can always add a better one as you come along. For our purposes, I am choosing the invulnerable and the health when you hit an enemy to add to Magneto. There are other types of cores that gives damage rating to different types of powers. You don't want to put melee powers on an energy range character, that sort of thing. But it really doesn't matter as long as you have 2 out of the 3 on the trifecta core. To add the core to the costume, we need refined ionic particles. I have pures, so what I do is I go to the elements tab, go all the way to the bottom, and let's split a pure element, and it gives me 3 refined. Now we'll go back to our costume tab. We need 4. Let's do it one more time. Well, I'm going to do all of them because we're also going to add affixes. Okay, so the 3 pures gave us 9 refined. Let's go back to add the core. We add the core. We put the costume in there. Now note that this core that I'm adding to this costume already had a core that was a level 45. This core that I'm adding, the resulting costume will be a level 60, and that's important because the critical damage rating maximum number will be the max amount at level 60. It would be a lower amount at a lower level core. So at level 60 you want to add a level 60 core to your hero costume. It's very important. Now as you see, the core that I had is 10 more credits, invulnerable, and less damage from aerial powers. Click create. Now it's 25% rare item find, invulnerable, health, and less damage, and the level required at the bottom is 60. So now I have a level 60 costume core. Great. Now we have to do the affixes, or the offensive affixes to the costume. Now you can add either defensive or offensive, or a combination of both. However, there are 4 grades, and you can only have either an offensive or a defensive affix to a grade. So if I add an offensive affix to costume grade 4, I can only have that. If I add a defensive one, then it will overwrite the offensive. But let's say I wanted to have a defensive for 1 and 2, or 1 and 3, and an offensive for the other ones, I could do that. Most people, though, go for damage on the costume cores, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for adding offensive affixes to the costume. So the current grade 4 affix is plus 10.3 attack speed, which is no bueno. Don't like that. So I need complex ionic particles in addition to the costume to add that affix. And if you remember, I have refined, so I'll go ahead and, as a matter of fact, I need 4 of them. So I'll go ahead and split the refined. I'll go ahead and split all of the refined, and each refined will give me, you guessed it, 3 complex. Okay, so now I have 15. Let's go back to the costume tab and add the core. Click create. I have, now you see grade 4 change to 633 damage rating versus enemies targeting you. We want critical damage rating for the most part on our costume cores. That's what I usually always go for. And 1600 or better is usually what I aim at for grade 4. You can see the full list on my website on what the affixes should be, or the max affixes should be. And the grade 4 changed to 11.7 attack speed, and we don't want that. And trying to get perfect will become very expensive, but so let's so we'll try to get, you know, as best as we can for the purposes of this video. It's taken me upwards of an hour and a half to get all 4 grades where I'd like it to be, and I need more. Let's go ahead. I have some complex. I have a complex there. And that's really it. That's how you create, how you add affixes to the costume core, or to the costume that you're working on. For the purposes of this video, I'll cut it off here, but you get the idea. If you go along with the numbers on the actual site, you are going to be looking for critical damage rating for slot for grade 1 of 382, for grade 2 of 765, grade 3 you're looking for 1177, and grade 4 1648. I use general rule that 90% of that number, if I get to within 90%, I'm good. And that is all.